there's a few things that I need to get off my chest throughout the course of this production. So we might be here for a little while. Therefore, I'd advise every last one of you to listen to me very carefully. But before we get started in the usual formation, for those of you who appreciate the content produced on this channel, I would say between now and the next 15 minutes, and I want you to give me the big thumbs up, get my likes up. Furthermore, share these productions, as I told you that YouTube has placed a shadow ban on this channel since 2020. Furthermore, for those who would like to show a little bit more support, you can feel free to leave a donation via the links in the description box. Now, with that out the way, let me just briefly talk about this backdrop that you're looking at. Now, some of you brothers got it, and you noticed it right away in my last production, which was, I believe, the beginning of January. We are now into the month of February of this year, 2023. And the backdrop that you were looking at, a handful of you were right about what you're seeing. And let me just explain that. What you were looking at is the combustion chamber of a boiler, of a fire tube Scotch Marine boiler. This was in a boiler plant. I'm not going to disclose the location. This video was actually recorded. I recorded this a couple of years back, probably going on 4 years, maybe more. And what I decided to do, since I had the video sitting in my phone, what I did was just crop out the rest and slow down the frame rate and just continue to loop it, which is what I'll use as my backdrop. And actually, it makes a pretty good backdrop. What you were looking at is a gas fueled flame. This burner is on low fire. The burner that is on this boiler is a Johnson burner, and the boiler is a Johnston boiler. It is one of several that sits inside of this boiler plant that I took the video from a couple of years back. And it's running on a gas fire, on low fire, and I figured it would make a good backdrop. So this is what I'm going to use most likely for the backdrop of my videos, which you've actually seen still images of this that I've used years ago. So now, with that being stated, there's a couple of subjects that I want to address. I think I'm going to address 3 different subjects. So like I said, we might be here for a little while. The first one that I want to address is, I remember, there's a YouTuber that goes by the name of Michi X. She makes pretty good content. Some of you know her, many of you probably know her. Some of you might not. Some of you who know of her might like her content, or you might not, or you might be indifferent to it. I like most of her content. But I remember, I believe this was sometime late last year, she made a statement when it came down to an individual on YouTube, when it comes down to supporting Black male businesses. Now, I've stated this years ago on this channel that I am about Black male, or just Black empowerment. Let me say that. As a matter of fact, I've had that conversation with the late David Carroll back in, I believe it was 2021 or 2020, the year before the year of his passing. I've also had that same discussion with the brother Brian Solange. I've stated this a handful of times on this channel, so y'all should know this is exactly where I stand when it comes down to Black empowerment. So when it matters to supporting Black-owned businesses, yes, that is something that I'm in support of. And I remember she made a statement about a Black man who has a Black-owned business, and yet Black people do not support that Black-owned business. Now, I referenced David Carroll, or brought his name up for a reason. The individual that Michi X is talking about, he goes by the name of Q Butter. Now, I know who he is. I've seen a handful of his content. He's not somebody that I watch. But many of you who were David Carroll followers and would listen to his content on a regular basis, this was some time back in 2018 that Q Butter, well, let me say this much. David Carroll made a video talking about how he sat up on and watched a live stream of Cynthia G, calling black men a bunch of bitches. And not one of those black men that were on this panel checked her on what she said. Not one. There was a handful of black men on it. As a matter of fact, I remember seeing that live stream myself. This is how I know what he was talking about. And you had the Taz exclusive guy. He was on there. He was one of them. A handful of other dudes. And also Q Butter was another one. And I've also listened to Q Butter refer to Cynthia G, and I'm talking about recent, within the past year, year and a half, as she's like a sister to me. This is what he stated. I've listened to black men literally confront him and say, hey, how are you about black empowerment? But yet you have no problem with Cynthia G saying some of the most disgusting things that she states. And as a matter of fact, I got a little something here to show y'all, so just bear with me. What I did was took the time to capture a little bit of footage off of a live stream that Cynthia G did. This was back last year. I would say sometime around September, maybe October, maybe November. I can't remember. As a matter of fact, let me see something. No, I can't pull it. I was going to try to get the date that I recorded this. But this was after she had a debate. She was on was it Fox Soul? And she had a debate. It was Cynthia G, a transsexual by the name of Hope Giselle, and also Umar Johnson. And I want you to look at this image right here. All right? She is trying to make a clear-cut depiction of black men collectively, showcasing black men being in a feeble, effeminate beta position, as you can see that this image depicts right here. And it wouldn't surprise me if she drew this up herself, and showcasing our position toward black women, which you see the black woman literally coddling this black man. Now, if you ask me, what she literally has in this image is a depiction of how she feels toward black men, meaning this being her, a masculine, rude, disrespectful persona, and also being the type of black men that she would deal with are weak, soft, beta males that she most likely can control. I mean, this image, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And the fact, and I got this right off of her Zoom, okay? And this really just speaks volumes to the depiction of how she, just if you look at it from her mindset, at least from where I'm seeing it. Okay. Anyhow, I don't need to go too deep into that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the time to play this audio. This Zoom live stream that she produced after having that debate with Umar Johnson and Hope Giselle. And what you are going to hear is just a sample of some of the nasty, disgusting, vile things that she says about black men on a regular basis.
Women to understand something. Everything that black men are doing, shout out to E Blacks for acknowledging that he's a dick-sucking thug hunter. Because
okay. Listen to the website that she is referencing. She has made plenty of reference to this time and time again. Thug hunters. She's been making references to this since, I believe, 2015, 2016. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just say something really fast. We've had black women downing black men for years on YouTube. But the one thing that I've noticed that black women have not done and I'm talking about those who literally get up and get online and trash black men, they don't use thug hunters as a frame of reference, as a depiction of black men collectively. They don't do that. And the reason why I'm assuming is either there's two conclusions that I've come to. Either number one, they don't know of the website because it's not famous, it's not popular. Or number two, it's such a niche minority of beta black males who engage in such behavior that it's not even worth referencing. Now, ghetto gaggers, on the other hand, that was something that you mentioned. Listen, you mentioned thug hunters. Many of y'all probably don't even know what the hell that is or what it even means. Many black women probably don't even know what it is. I'm talking about those who have their differences toward black men. Cynthia G is the only one who I've consistently heard reference this website. Even though it is a piss-poor depiction of black men collectively, she still will continue to try to paint us all in this light, in an image that clearly, I mean, if it was so effective, you would see, well, you know what, like I said, black women by large, I have not seen using this. As a matter of fact, I think Cynthia G is the only one that I've heard reference this website. But anyhow, let me continue.
We know black men pay so much attention to ghetto gaggers, but what they should be doing is paying attention to why.
So she immediately referenced ghetto gaggers right after thug hunters. Let's play that back.
Because we know black men pay. Shout out to E Blacks for acknowledging that he's a dick-sucking thug hunter. Because we know black men pay so much attention to ghetto gaggers, but what they should be doing is paying attention to why they're all over thug hunters sucking white dick and getting white nut shot in their face.
Okay, so she gave you a description of what this is about. If you mention thug hunters, most of you don't even know what the hell that is. Okay? You mentioned ghetto gaggers, and listen, like I said, when it comes down to thug hunters, it's probably safe to say that most black women who dislike black men, who get on social networking sites and trash us, probably don't even know what that website is. But if you mention ghetto gaggers, I would say damn near every last one of you know what that website is, black men and black women included. So why does Cynthia G keep referencing this? Like I told you before, this is a niche minority. A small group of effeminized beta males. Why would Cynthia G even notice this? I mean, ghetto gaggers, you could find that on free porn sites. Now, I believe they're trying to scrub that shit clean after all the years it's been up there, but for years, you can randomly find clips of this shit. You have to go look hard or long and hard to go find this. Thug hunters, you really got to be searching for this shit in order to find it. So how is it that Cynthia G knows about this? Okay, let's continue.
And this is the position that black men like to be in. On that Fox Soul panel, what I heard Umar Johnson say is that black men have been irreparably buck broken. They are the lesser males. They've been defeated. And because they've been defeated, they can't get up and do anything. It just is what it is. I think that bandit in here, I like to see black men getting nut shot in their face from white men. That's why I look at thug hunters now. And you're actually lucky this is on YouTube, and YouTube is about censorship. Okay. Because if it was...
Now, did you hear that? She just sat up here and said that she likes to watch black men getting nut shot in their faces by white men on thug hunters. This is what the psychotic bitch said. Now, you point out for me any other race of women that are sitting online making videos like this. First of all, what race of woman sits up and says that she likes to watch homosexual porn, has a fetish for watching gay men? I don't know no woman who does this shit. But Cynthia G is the only bitch crazy enough to get online and talk this bullshit. So just to kind of answer Michi X's question, Because Michi X can't seem to figure out why black people are not supporting Q Butter. And I'll just say it like this right now. When you look at this shit right here, this is who Q Butter supports. Q Butter is a black man. Okay? And Q Butter makes no ifs, ands, or buts about Cynthia G being like a sister to him. He would sit on a panel and listen to this bitch talk like this and not check her not one time. Now, even when it comes down to that Taz exclusive buffoon, I don't like the guy, but I can say at least this much is that he is at some point giving pushback. Now, that live stream, if I didn't mention it earlier, where David Carroll, the late David Carroll, was saying he sat up and watched Cynthia G refer to black men as a bunch of bitches, and you had black men sitting on that panel, and not one of them said a damn thing to her. Q Butter was one of those men. That's you. That was Q Butter. This is who he supports. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play it back for y'all.
I like to see black men getting nut shot in their face from white men. That's why I look at I like to see black men getting nut shot in their face from white men. That's why I look at thug hunters. I like to see black men getting nut shot in their face from white men. That's why I look at thug hunters now. And you're actually lucky this is on YouTube, and YouTube is about censorship. Because if it wasn't, I would show thug hunters and I would show just how much white dick you're sucking. And see, this is what black men don't understand. You can't suck white dick and defeat white supremacy at the same time. You can't. You can't. And see, y'all are trying to defeat white supremacy with your mouth and your...
We can end that right there. We don't have to continue listening to this stupid shit. It's fucking ridiculous. Like I said, there's no other race of women that I've seen online making videos like this. This right here, I mean, let me just say this much, and it's actually a good thing that black women don't sit here and reference thug hunters in this manner. That'd be another thing if this was just some viral shit, but it's not. Like I said, this is a niche minority of weak, effeminized, beta black males who are on that website engaging in such behavior. That it's not even worth taking the time to reference this, because this is not an accurate depiction of black men. It's just not. But this is what Cynthia G is using as an example. Now, I'm going to go into my archives for a second, because Cynthia G is also the very same one who a few years back, I mean, it's funny how she's making these examples or these reference points talking about black men being buck broken and wanting to date white men, but yet her sister, which was married to a white guy, has biracial children by a white guy. At her own admission has stated this, but yet we don't, she doesn't see that as a problem or equivalent to. Okay, let me go into my archives. All right. This is the same female who just a few years ago was telling black women that she was able to finesse white men out of their money. All right? The same female was stating that she was able to finesse white guys out of their money, having them pay all her bills, buy her nice things, take her out on expensive dates, and she would tell them, "You're not getting nothing out of this, no sex, no nothing." And they were cool with that. This is what she's trying to tell you. Now, I just look at that because what I really try to get people to look at is recognize patterns here. I want people to thoroughly analyze and recognize patterns. Because if you can finesse people out of their money, then that should mean you shouldn't need a job. You shouldn't have to go out there and devote yourself, your labor or your skill set or whatever. You should be able to just say, hey, I'm going to go on some dates, find some wealthy, rich white guys or whatever race of men that you choose to deal with, and be able to finesse them out of their money. These pictures are all over the goddamn internet. They've been on the internet for many years. All right? Trying to take sexy poses if you find her attractive to begin with, which I'm just going to be honest, I don't. I mean... Okay, I mean... Jesus Christ. All right. Now listen, man. Like I said, what I'm recognizing here is I pick up on patterns, okay? If you can finesse getting money out of people without having to do anything, because listen, you don't get money for free, is what I'm saying. And when she's sitting up here trying to sell y'all this pipe dream that she's able to get money out of white guys, look at this. In negligees, lingeries, half naked. I mean, come on. In a fucking two-piece. Are you serious? So the point I'm trying to get at here is if you're able to finesse white men out of their money without having to do anything for them, and they're just going to keep on paying your bills and covering your expenses and taking you to nice places, lavishing you with nice gifts, and you ain't got to do nothing other than just spend some time with them. That's the only thing that you're losing is your time. Then my question is, when we look at these photos here, first of all, who the hell took these photos? Is what I'm trying to figure out. Secondly, were you paid for these photos? Well, why did you, and if you weren't paid, why did you take the photos? So there's a couple of different directions I can go with here, but the point that I'm overall trying to get at is these pictures. And the next question I would ask is, how the hell did they get on the goddamn internet? Why is it that you can go to Google and simply type in your name and these pictures come up? And these pictures have been here for years. For years. So my question would be this: were you at a modeling agency? Were you once trying to get into the modeling industry? And were you paid for these photos, or were you doing it pro bono, just trying to get your name out there? Because the point that I'm trying to the point that I'm trying to establish here is recognizing patterns. These pictures are all over the goddamn internet, and here you are, not in just regular plain clothes or advertising certain clothing lines. No, you're not doing it. Here you are, half fucking naked, in a two-piece, looking flat out fucking ridiculous. So the point that I'm trying to get at here is, if you were able to finesse money out of people without having to get naked, without having to do anything else but lose time, then how is it? This would completely contradict that reality. Because here you are, in order for you to get paid, now that's if you got paid now, you had to take these photos and they ended up all over the goddamn internet. Or if it was a matter of you were doing it pro bono just so you can get your name out there and get exposure, you did this shit for free and you had to come up out of your goddamn clothes in order to just get goddamn exposure, which apparently did not work. Because your modeling career didn't go any goddamn where. So if this is the same female that can finesse white men into paying her bills, covering her expenses, taking care of her, and she ain't got to do nothing for it, then how do we explain this? How do you explain this shit? How do you explain this? How do you explain her taking what she thinks is a sexy pose in a negligee? Her bony ass in a fucking two-piece trying. Oh my God. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get that off the screen. Let's get back to my usual backdrop. I mean, I'm about to look at the. Okay, let me just stop. Okay, so that would be my critique of a Cynthia G. If she was that good at finessing people out of money and didn't have to do any goddamn thing, clearly, you, in order to get paid or to get exposure, you had to take your clothes off and be half fucking naked just so you could be noticed. And these pictures ended up all over the goddamn internet. I believe most of them have been scrubbed off of there, but you can still do a Google search and find these fucking photos. Does this sound like a female who has the skill set to finesse people, or even has the looks to be able to finesse white men out of their money without doing anything for it. And if you believe that pack of lies, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'll sell you for a real good price. Now, I say all that for a reason. Because after we've seen all this, y'all listen to that rambling of her going in on black men. And this was like last year, I believe sometime back in late fall or mid to late fall last year, of her going in on black men. She is infamously known for doing this. And yet Q Butter supports her, refers to her as a sister. That's my peoples. This is Q Butter. And yet Q Butter wonders why he is not supported. The same way Taz Exclusives a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago is realizing his growth is stagnated. Now I'm going to say this much. I think the dude has the potential to produce good content, because I watched one of his videos back in 2020 when the whole riots, 2021 when they stormed the nation's capital. And I referenced some of his talking points, which he actually made pretty good points. But what did he do? He decided to become a feminist. He decided to start using terms and talking points like #divest. Now here you have a whole black man sitting up here talking, using a coin that black women use when it comes down to their worship for white men. This is what Taz Exclusive decided to go along with. And yet this guy wonders why his channel has not grown. The same way when it comes down to Q Butter. So Michi X, when you want to know why black people don't support Q Butter, the audience would be black men. That's what's going to be who gets him off the ground. He is a black man, so you have to actually speak to your audience. And this is overall what I'm really trying to get at here, even though I went into a little bit of a side tangent. But you have to know how to speak to your audience. And this is something that black men really need to understand when it comes down to building an audience. You want to get people to support you, you cannot have people that are aligned with the interest of a Cynthia G and somehow think you are going to collectively get the support of black people or black men. There's just no way in hell. And let me just go ahead and what really speaks to this is the past midterm elections. The Republicans thought they were going to win in a landslide, and they realized they didn't get the victory that they were hoping or anticipating that they were going to get. And when they lost, what did they do? Immediately, they blamed themselves. They said, we didn't have the proper outreach. We need to do better. They said that this was a disaster. I mean, I've literally seen some videos on Fox News where they were talking about this the next day after the midterm elections because they did not get the victories that they were anticipating. So they just sit back and blame their audience. They said, no, we failed you. And it's a night and day difference when you look at how Democrats treat elections when they lose. What do? They blame their base. They blame black people. You black men didn't come out and vote for us. And yet, what does that do? It causes them to lose more elections. Why was it that Donald Trump gained such a massive momentum back in 2016? Because he spoke to the ideology of the white male conservative base. And when you know how to speak to that ideology of your base, that's how you energize a base. Q Butter, on the other hand, has not done this. The same way when it comes down to Taz Exclusives. They have not done this. When you align with somebody, and it's one thing to say, okay, I respect some of this person's talking points, but when you sit back and you can listen to a female, a bimbo that has clearly lost her goddamn mind, who can get her crazy ass online and make a live stream espousing the talking points that she said, man, listen, I ain't even heard a group of black men, not from the manosphere, not the passport bros, not any group of black men have I ever heard sit up on a damn live stream talking about abort black female babies. I've never heard them say this, regardless of where I stand with them or not. I've never heard any group of black men sit up here and say, well, I like watching black women on ghetto gaggers getting face reamed by white men. I've never heard this. But yet you have this psychotic bimbo who gets online and says shit like this. And you got somebody the likes of a Q Butter who can sit back and support this and better yet be on a panel as she is calling black men a bunch of bitches. And if you think that she's not referring to you, bro, I don't know what else I can say. You're dead wrong. And not one time do you check her. Let me say this much. The last time I went to Q Butter's videos, I believe this is sometime in late last year. Very low subscriptions, not many views. And I can see why. You don't know how to speak to your base. As a matter of fact, you don't even have a base. When you sit up here and you align with somebody like this. See, the thing is, let me just go ahead and make some more examples really fast. What was it that happened years ago? They used to have on the Subway commercials for the sandwiches, the Subway Eat Fresh sandwiches. They had Jared, the guy who was fat and started eating healthy and eating Subway sandwiches, and he was a spokesperson for Subway. He was the guy they would have on the commercials. You would see him all over these commercials. You go into one of the Subway stores, there he was, his image right there with a sandwich. Then some years down the line, it came out that he was engaging in molesting children. What happened the moment they found out that he was actually doing this? Subway knew that we have a reputation to maintain and we need to be able to keep our audience. We need to be able to keep our base. We want people coming into our stores and continuously buying our sandwiches and our food products. They immediately disassociated themselves from him. They immediately scrubbed him off of all of their commercials. That was it. They were done. He's a wrap. We don't have nothing to do with this guy anymore. We did not know this. We do not support this. We do not stand for this. Why? Because at the end of the day, they know they have to cater to their base. Because if you lose your base, you don't have a business. Now, what is it when it comes down to the Q Butter? When black men are questioning Q Butter, how is it that you support a female sitting up here talking about aborting black male babies? Does Q Butter at one point in time say, well, no, I don't associate with that. I don't affiliate with that. I've removed myself or disassociated myself from this individual because I've realized she's not wrapped too tight upstairs. There's screws missing. No, not one time has he done that. As a matter of fact, he doubles down on his position in defending her. Tries to come up with vague, mediocre talking points to an attempt to justify her fucked up behavior, which is nothing more but hate speech of black men. So when people are wondering why nobody supports this guy, nobody would care to buy his products, even if you have something that's equivalent to what you could get on Amazon. Listen, I would love to go ahead and support a black-owned business, but not him. I refuse to. Not 1 cent of my dollars would go into his pocket based off of that alone. And see, their excuse or his excuse would be, well, why are you worrying about Cynthia G? Just like when anybody would ask Task Exclusives, why do you support this girl? Or well, why are you worried about why you're always talking about her? No, because if you expect to be supported by the brothers, because this is who you're going to need in order to build your base, a black man. And if you can't get black male support, you're done. If you're thinking that black women are going to support you, no, they don't even respect you. See, many of y'all could actually learn something about Trump's election back in 2017. Late 2016, I mean. Y'all can learn something behind that. Because a lot of people thought he was going to lose because, well, he's saying sexist things about women. Remember how they tried to paint him as a sexist? I could touch them by the pussy. And yet you had a bunch of white women coming out saying, yeah, grab them by the pussy. Because what they ultimately respect is masculinity. It was no different than years ago when I was on YouTube and I was saying whatever the hell it is that I wanted to say. And y'all remember the 2013, 2014 version of the Brother of Logic and Common Sense. A night and day difference. But I had some black men who would come out and say, well, listen, we come out here and we make videos defending black women. And yet he gets online, the Brother of Logic and Common Sense gets online and just says whatever he wants to, and y'all are practically blowing kisses at him. There was a dude that actually said that years ago. And then I came back and I responded and I said they will show me more respect, me getting online, chastising them and calling them out their damn name and calling out their hypocrisy and bullshit before they would respect you sitting online worshiping their every move. because that, in their mind, solidifies weakness. And there was one thing that a sister said years ago, and it was on the comment section of one of my detractors. And it was about, because he was going in on both me and the late David Carroll. And what she said was, listen, we don't fool with either of those two mofos. But the difference between them, unlike you, is we know where the hell they stand. This is what a black woman said. We're talking about damn near 10 years ago. What you've seen from me is consistency and integrity. Now, it doesn't mean that I haven't changed from some of my positions that I've held years ago, but I can explain in great detail as of why I've changed from some of those positions. I can give you a logical, sound explanation as of why I don't see things the way I might have once did years ago. What you don't find me doing is flip-flopping all over the place, hoping I can just find a bigger audience that's going to boost up my channel. I don't do that shit. If my numbers never grow, not from one subscriber from where I'm at now, then so be it. This is where I'll stay. But when you are watching black men, and it baffles me when black men are sitting around here wondering, why is it that black men don't support me? But yet you sit up here and you align yourselves with the lights of somebody like a Cynthia G and a bunch of feminists who literally spew out some of the most disgusting things that I've ever heard in my entire life about black men. And yet and still at the same time, y'all are wondering why y'all can come up with businesses and products that don't sell, that black people don't support. Once again, when you don't have support from your base, your business goes nowhere. This is a simple business practice. And when they realize they affiliated themselves with people who are literally going against the core values of their base, they immediately disassociate themselves from that individual or from that entity. This is how they work, because they know this is the only way they can save face with their base. This is something that Q Butter has not figured out. This is something that Taz Exclusives has not figured out. Which, according to some of the brothers online, Taz is finding out the hard way and realizing what he did really was not to his benefit. Now, you know what? I don't think I'm going to make or go into the other subject matters. I think I'm going to keep this at what I'm saying here. And what I'll do is I'll make separate videos. But I wanted to address that. And let me just say this much also. You know, even with some of the other brothers that I might disagree with here online, they know how to speak to their base. They stay consistent to their base. They don't start flip-flopping all over the place. When you find black men aligning with feminist talking points, just understand you are not going to have an audience that is going to stand by and support you for long. And if you're hoping that the women are going to be the substitutes that void, then guess what? You're going to find out the hard way, because the women themselves don't even support you. Because they know good and damn well when someone is full of goddamn shit. Or when somebody's worthy of being respected, whether they agree with your talking points or not. So I guess that pretty much would answer the question of Michi X when she wants to know why Q Butter does not have the support that he would need when it comes down to black men. He most certainly would never get my support. I'm sorry, when you're aligning with somebody like that, you don't even check her. And it's bad enough if you say that you're friends with this individual, that I agree with some of her talking points. It's a whole nother story when we can find countless live streams of you sitting on panels with this individual, someone who's clearly not wrapped too tight in the head, referring to black men as a bunch of bitches, talking some of the most vile, disgusting things about black men, talking about how she enjoys watching black men on Thug Hunters getting nut shot in their face by white guys. When you are a black man and you are sitting back listening to that, and at no point in time do you ever confront her on some of the disgusting things and talking points that she uses and that she espouses out of her goddamn mouth, then listen, at that point in time, you cannot be taken seriously. And this is essentially what we are dealing with black men who go down this path. So I hope that sums up the answer, or that will give Michi X an explanation as to why this man's business would not thrive, why people would not support him, why Michi X, why you as a woman would have a better chance in building a black business, and black men would support that business before they would actually support Chew Butter. That's just the way that works. You can't support something that diametrically opposes who I am as a black man and then think that somehow I should reward you with my dollars. That's just not how that works. It is almost the equivalence when it comes down to voting, but I'm not going to get into that. Anyhow, that's all I got to say in this production. I will try to produce another one in the near future, and I'll catch you on a later date.